Hey everyone, it's Rena Jadov with the Live Longer podcast and Health Bootcamps, and I have here Dr. Peter Osborne to talk about one of the most important topics I personally believe today, which is the challenges that our teenagers are facing, the health issues that our college students are facing. And this conversation came about because Dr. Osborne and I were busy doing the book masterclass on No Grain, No Pain, and I brought up the challenge of these teenagers that are coming home from college. They're taking quarters off, they're taking years off, they're having all these weird pain. And I asked Dr. Osborne if he had noticed something more of that in his clinic. And Dr. Osborne, share with everyone what you shared with me.
Yeah, we see quite a bit of the young college students who go off to school. You know, the old joke is the freshman 5, and then now they've called it the freshman 15. You know, you put on the weight as a freshman going off because mom and dad aren't making the food and you don't have any restrictions, so you kind of have full reign of eating. Well, I call it the freshman autoimmune component because what's happening is these young kids are going off to school, they're eating whatever they want, which typically isn't very healthy, and a lot of these meal plans are not the greatest in the world, but they're also partying, they're boozing, you know, they're drugging. That's just the reality. College kids, that's what they do. And, you know, look, drugs cause malnourishment. Alcohol causes malnourishment. Eating bad foods causes malnourishment. So we're seeing this at a greater level than we've ever seen it before. And a lot of these kids are getting very, very sick. They're not just gaining 5 or 15 pounds. They're actually developing autoimmunity, and they're not able to complete their studies. And so they find themselves back at home with mom and dad trying to figure out why they're sick.
And cancer, that's the other one. We, a few months ago, lost a dear friend of my daughter's to leukemia after she was told that she would just be fine, that she was in recovery, she'd gone through chemo, and then 6 months later, unfortunately, we lost her. So we're starting to see, to your point, it's not just about, okay, you know, put on a few pounds or you're not as fit. These are serious diseases that are life-taking. And depression is the other one. We're also starting to see, I mean, I know we've lost a couple of beautiful souls recently. Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain was the news today. So we know that suicide is definitely on the rise. We know depression is on the rise. But I feel like it's even more so for this band of young teenagers. Is it all just nutrition?
No, it's not all just nutrition. A lot of it is it's stress. They're out of an environment. You know, they have this rapid and sudden change and massive change in their environment. And a lot of them use drugs to study. You know, they use, you know, legal stimulants that act like cocaine. And so they rev up their system. They demand more of their bodies. They put themselves under more stress, yet they're not eating well. And they're drugging and they're using alcohol that cause malnourishment. And it's a perfect disaster. It's the perfect storm.
It is truly the perfect storm for a health crisis. What are the issues you're seeing? So when you see these teenagers coming into your clinic, what are you seeing as dominant issues in autoimmune?
I see a lot of thyroid. They actually start out with a lot of muscular problems, a lot of pain, the unexplainable pain, sharp stabbing, neurological neuropathy, shooting pains, joint pains. And then when we run labs on them, we actually see a number of different types of autoimmunity in their labs. So we'll pick up on like antibodies to their thyroid. In some cases, we'll pick up on antibodies to other tissues as well, their joints or their soft tissues. And so when they come in, they don't know what's wrong, and they've tried the campus doctors or they've tried their local doctors, and really all they ever get is they either get drugs that suppress pain, or they get neurological drugs like Lyrica, which can help with neuropathy, but don't really solve why the neuropathy is there.
So what do you recommend for these teenagers when they come in? How do you get them to get back their health and get back to school?
Well, we do full testing. I don't guess. So when somebody comes to see me, they've already guessed. Everybody else has already guessed at them. So my motto is I don't guess, I test. I mean, I have a lot of experience and I can guess, but I don't like to because it's different for different people. So I test for food allergies. I test for environmental chemicals and toxicities. I test for heavy metals. I test for hormonal disruptions that can create their problems or can contribute to those problems. We do a full workup on all their organs, their liver, their kidney, their lungs. We want to make sure that everything is running and smooth, right? And we also test for gluten sensitivity, which is very fundamental. We test their guts and their GI tracts to make sure that they're capable of digesting and absorbing nutrients. We measure their microbiome because we want to know what's going on in their gut and how that might be playing a role in their problem. So we do a very comprehensive battery of testing so that we can then sit down and say, look, your problems come and stem from these things that are uniquely you, as opposed to, here, try this protocol that is very generic. If somebody wants to follow a generic protocol, they really can follow my book, No Grain, No Pain. It's generic in the sense that it's written for a broad audience, but when it comes down to somebody coming into the office, we've got to get unique and specific biochemical individuality rules the day.
Any teenager listening to you right now, any parent of a teenager listening to you right now, what are some of the recommendations that you would make so they don't end up coming to you? What do they need to do to make sure that they stay healthy in school?
Well, part of it is just kids are going to fly when they spring the nest. They're going to spread their wings and fly and make their mistakes. So part of it is in the way that you raise your children from the very beginning. You should be raising your children to eat healthy, to exercise, to get sunshine, to get sleep. You should be raising them to believe that drugs are not a necessity for them to perform and that they shouldn't be having to use drugs to mask symptoms or problems. So part of it comes in the fundamental raising of children, not just what do you tell a teenager, but in how you raise them and how you love them and how you lead by example. You have to lead by example. So that's where it really begins. But when they're going off and they're going to go off to college, I think part of what parents should do, and if all parents did this, it's hold the colleges accountable for serving garbage. A lot of it is the colleges, they're serving up the cheapest meal plan, the cheapest food available, and they're charging you the highest amount.
Yes.
Colleges are a business, and we have to hold, as the customer, we have to hold them accountable for the swill they're giving our children, because a lot of your freshmen, it's mandatory that they live in the dorm, and it's mandatory that they be on a meal plan. And for a lot of my patients, we write them notes and we say, look, as much as you want to call it mandatory, this person's health is in such a disarray. They need their own apartment, their own kitchen, because what you're serving and offering does not fit the requirements for their health.
Exactly. I think somebody needs to start that sort of a college-wide petition to say it should not be mandatory, because you're right. My daughter, same thing. She's 19, she's in college, and we had to sign her up for the meal plan. And I see the bills that come in. She orders out quite a bit. And that's still not the answer though, right? It's still fast food. It's still crap coming in. So if colleges just fix the food they served, our children's health would be so much better. So absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Osborne. Any other parting advice? Any one last piece of advice for someone listening in today?
I think if they're sending their kids off to college, I think the best thing that they could do, and what I did with my oldest son, is we actually taught him how to cook before he left. So we spent several weeks making him cook the dinners and making him go to the grocery store and making him figure it out. Yes. So that we gave him the tools that he needed, as opposed to just sending him off and expecting that he's going to have the tools without proper preparing him. So prepare your kids for how you want them to behave and for how you want them to act, so that they have the tools they need to do that.
Love that. That's beautiful, sound advice. Thank you so much again. For the rest of you, stay smiling and get your kids organized before they get to college. I'll see you on another episode.